It's Friday, August 3rd. Welcome to Pastor Bob Daily. You know, many of you have asked me to comment on the Chick-fil-A controversy. Now, most of you are from out of the country. In fact, over 115 countries have reported in on Pastor Bob Daily. I appreciate that. It's great to have all of you listening. And I don't usually tackle subjects that are really taking place in the United States since we have an international audience. But this time I'm going to, because I think it really affects all of us, at least the principles do. We have a chain of restaurants here in the United States called Chick-fil-A. And they are Christian owned and operated. The CEO of the company is very vocal in that. They're even closed on Sundays, so people can go to church and because it's the Lord's Day. And so that's pretty cool, and they're highly respected and some good food. Recently, the CEO of the company was asked what he thought about same-sex marriage. And he said he was against it, that he believed in traditional marriage. And that set off a wave of controversy. Actually, one of the heads of the government in Chicago here in the United States decided to ban Chick-fil-A from building any more restaurants in Chicago, or at least trying to, just because of their stand on the subject. And so it's all politically oriented, by the way. This is an election year, and these kinds of things are done because people want to get elected. But people are standing firm on this one, and on the 1st, 2 days ago of August, the Christians, all the people that were in favor of Chick-fil-A's decision, were asked to show up at Chick-fil-A and purchase something, and there were long lines at Chick-fil-A's all over the United States. It was their biggest day of business ever, by far. And so your question to me is, what about boycotting? You know, the gay movement has kind of boycotted Chick-fil-A, as have a lot of public officials. Some other cities now have chimed in saying they don't want any more Chick-fil-A's in their cities either. What do we do about this? And Christians are upset because they feel like this is a violation of their free speech, which it is, and they don't know quite how to handle it. And you may not like my answer on this one, but here we go. You know, I am not a believer in boycotting, and I know that some of you, the hairs on the back of your neck just stood up, didn't they? Because, you know, we kind of feel like that's how we should handle things, and I really don't. You know, when Jesus left this earth, he told us to engage this world, not to avoid it, not to try to change the non-Christians before we give them Jesus, not to force our ideals on businesses necessarily, although we can't help but doing that just by the life that we live. But basically, he told us to engage the world and give them Jesus. These days we're engaging the world, and it seems like we're giving them our criticism, we're giving them our hatred, our disdain, our religious beliefs, but we're not giving them Jesus, and that's what they need. And I'm afraid that a lot of the boycotting is simply turning people off to Jesus other than turning them on. Now, people say, well, we have a moral obligation to fix things around us, and that's not necessarily true. We have a moral obligation to fix people. And folks, we can't get really upset by the gay movement and other movements that begin to boycott us when we've been doing it for years. You know, I get emails all the time telling me to boycott different businesses because they promote homosexual marriage, because they promote different things that we're upset about. Christians are the best at boycotting. We've been boycotting for years. And now somebody is beginning to boycott something we believe in, and we cry free speech. What about the free speech of those people that we've been boycotting as well? You see, I kind of feel like we can't have it both ways. Now, I understand that some of you are not agreeing with me, but let me just give you my biggest heart's passion on this. Folks, the more that we begin to try to legislate our morality on people around us, the less we give them Jesus. And that, I feel like, ought to be our number one priority. You know, our hearts ought to bleed for the people that don't know him yet. And we really should be about the business that Jesus told us to be after. You know, we're so busy with these things that we forget to do the very things he told us to do. To feed the homeless, to clothe those that are naked, to give shelter to those that are without it. You know, all of those things are really important, and it's what Christ asked us to do. And once again, we can't find hardly anybody to help us cook the food for the homeless in a town of 1 million people. And with more churches per capita than any other city in the world. Kind of sad, isn't it? But you know, that's where we are. And Christians, listen to me. You need to do a little more of what Jesus asked you to do, and a little less of spreading your opinions around. Don't give them boycotts. Give them Jesus. Just my opinion. God bless you. Have a great day.